Hey students, welcome back to Buddy. Okay, so in chapter 24, we learned that Daddy and Little T visit the house in New Orleans and it's a mess. There's black stuff growing everywhere. Buddy's gone. They found a faded note that the rescuers left on the kitchen, the bathroom sink, but they can't make out the phone number. They return to the apartment in Mississippi. Grandpa T listens to the ramblings about what's going on in New Orleans and how the house looks, and then Grandpa T closes his eyes and he passes away. Okay? And that takes us to chapter 25. I turned 13 the day we buried Grandpa T. So it's Little T's birthday on the day they bury Grandpa T, the day they go to the cemetery and have the funeral. It's also Little T's 13th birthday. Think of that, right? People keep saying it was his time and Katrina broke him. And thank the Lord we're in Mississippi with all his people. We put him in the ground in a cemetery that's got broke pine trees standing all around it. Daddy says he's sorry Grandpa T has to look at those broke trees forever. He says it's going to remind him for all eternity about Katrina. Mama says, don't be a fool. She says, Grandpa T is sitting at the right hand of Jesus now. He's not thinking about any broke pine trees down here where we are. Mama says we can't have a cake because of the funeral. And I say, I don't want one anyway. I say, 13 is too old for all that mess. Mama says, no, it's not, and puts her hand on my shoulder for one teeny second before she tells me to go mind baby Terrell while she gets Tanya out of her Sunday clothes. So Mama shows Little T just 1 second of compassion or affection. November goes creeping along. Mama says, why am I not playing my Game Boy anymore? And I say, I'm too old for that foolishness. Well then, she says, I guess you're old enough to watch baby Terrell while I make groceries. She walks out the door with Tanya tagging behind her, and I'm sitting there looking at baby Terrell squatting on the floor and banging a little plastic hammer on some plastic nails stuck in a plastic workbench. You think that's fun? I say. He looks at me and grins. He's got slobber running down his chin, and I can tell he already needs his diaper changed. What are you so happy about? I say, and he laughs out loud. I lay down on the sofa. You ain't nothing but a baby, I say. You ain't got a lick of sense. At Thanksgiving, Mrs. Watson says, we're blessed to be here, and says, we need to bring in stuff to make giveaway bags for the homeless. Mama searches around the apartment and gets some shirts they gave us at the shelter. Then she reaches up under the sofa and pulls out a suitcase. When she opens it up, I see it's Grandpa T's clothes, all folded up neat and tidy. I ain't taking those, I say. But somebody out there needs them, she says. Well, I ain't taking them, I say. You can't make me. She sits back on her heels and looks at me. What's wrong with you, son? She says. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I just ain't taking those clothes is all. She pushes the suitcase back under the sofa and buys a few extra cans of food at the store. Interesting, students. Mama can't figure out what's wrong with Little T. She wants to give away Grandpa T's clothes, for charity. It's Thanksgiving time, and she doesn't understand that's too soon for Little T. Little T was very close to Grandpa T. She also doesn't understand, I don't think, that Little T misses his dog. In our classroom, we pile all the stuff in one corner and we sing a song about something called sheaves. Jerome asked Mrs. Watson what that is, and she says it's a bunch of wheat all held together with a string. And I'm thinking, why are we singing about that? But I don't say anything. When we're done singing, Mrs. Watson says to draw a picture of what we are most thankful for. Well, Daddy says we've got a lot to be thankful for. We're healthy. We got a roof over our heads. He even managed to buy an old car with some insurance money. At first, I think maybe I ought to draw a picture of that car, or maybe of that apartment, or maybe I ought to draw one of those pictures with everybody all lined up holding hands and write on it, "My family." Oh, Mrs. Watson would like that. But a picture like that wouldn't be for true. I would have to draw 2 holes in that picture. And I don't know how to draw an empty space. Besides, I ain't thankful for that empty space. Why would Little T's picture of his family have 2 holes in it? If he drew a picture of his family, why would there be 2 holes? Who would not be in the picture? You guessed it, Grandpa T and Buddy. I look around and everybody's busy drawing. The boy sitting next to me is trying to draw a computer, but it don't look too good. That girl, Maddie, is filling up her paper with flowers, but I think that's just because that's what she likes to draw. Jerome is drawing a car, and I know he don't have one. I've seen him after school riding around with the high school brothers, and he ain't the one driving. I sit there a long time. I can't think of nothing to draw. Then my pencil starts to move, and sure enough, out comes a dog. Mrs. Watson's walking around the desk. She stops and looks. "You got your dog back, Tyrone?" she says. "No, ma'am," I say, "but I'm thankful he's still alive." We're starting the run up to Christmas. They got candy canes going up on the streetlights in town. When we're in the bus on the way to school, we pass by a mall with a great big old fake Christmas tree wired onto the top. On the way home, I see the parking lot in that mall is jam-packed with cars, and the lights on that tree are blinking on and off. Mama and Daddy are starting their usual talk about who knows whether Santa Claus has got anything for us this year. They're mumbling about being good and times are hard and all the same stuff they always say. I say I want some new games for my Game Boy. Mama says, "Why do I want that if I'm too old to play it?" And I shrug up my shoulders. Tanya says she wants some clothes for her dolls. Baby Terrell just jumps up and down when they sing Jingle Bells on the radio. We get a tree from a lot, and I think about the storm and how we hid up under that bed and how when we went outside, the whole world smelled like a Christmas tree lot. We stand the tree up in the front window, and all of a sudden, the whole apartment smells like the storm. Then here we go to the Walmart to get decorations. We're standing there in that aisle, and I'm thinking about the stuff we used to stick on the tree. One thing was a white ball I rolled in glitter back in Sunday school. Another was a big gold blue star made out of shiny paper with Tanya's picture slapped in the middle. And there was a thing I made out of Mardi Gras beads. Something where I glued them all together in a lump and then glued some more to hang down. Well, we ain't got any of that. We're starting over. Mama buys a pack of red shiny balls and a string of tiny white lights. She says it takes a while to get up a good supply of Christmas decorations. She says we'll get more next year. Then she buys us some stockings off an aisle that says discounted 75%. And they look like it too. Okay, so they're struggling. They don't have too much money. Mom has got to buy some decorations and stockings. She's doing the best she can, okay, because they have to start from scratch with decorating the apartment for Christmas. We don't put anything on the bottom part of the tree because baby Terrell's liable to yank it off. He's walking around now like he owns the place. He don't know there ain't enough stuff on the tree. He don't know there ain't enough presents stacked up underneath. He don't know those flimsy old stockings ought to be hanging off a fireplace instead of off the backs of the kitchen chairs. You see, because they don't have a fireplace in the apartment. So where are they going to put the stockings? Well, Mama has to hang them up over the kitchen chairs. And little T's thinking, baby Terrell's just a baby. He doesn't have any of these memories. He doesn't know what a good Christmas looks like. We go to a great big church on Christmas Eve. They've got about 100 people singing in the choir. They're wearing red robes and singing about baby Jesus. We're rocking and clapping. Then one lady steps out front and the lights go off and she starts to sing Silent Night all by herself. Even baby Terrell is still. When we walk out, everybody's smiling and hugging and kissing, and I'm wondering why I ain't happy in the middle of all that love. Before we go to bed, Daddy gathers us around and we pray. I'm watching him. He's got lines coming down the sides of his mouth. He's got lines between his eyes. He don't know. I've seen him in the evening, sitting with his head in his hands, slipping into the kitchen for another beer. I'm watching him, and I bow my head, and I pray too. See, Daddy's been under a lot of stress, and he's been working very hard at worrying about the bills. In the morning, I sneak into the living room before it's light outside. This is Christmas morning, kids. I always do that. Usually, I put a flashlight by my bed the night before, but there ain't no flashlight in this apartment, so I just go real careful. I peep around the corner. The living room's empty, of course, without Grandpa T sleeping on the sofa. But there those stockings are, hanging off the back of the chairs. They look full of candy. Under baby Terrell's stocking is some kind of big old baby toy. It looks like a little car you sit in and push around with your feet. Under Tanya's stocking is another doll and a suitcase. I lift up the top real careful. That suitcase is chock full of doll clothes. And sitting on top is a crown of diamonds just the right size for Tanya. Tanya is going to be one happy girl. I ain't going to be happy. Under my stocking, there ain't a single thing. Ain't nothing there but floor. I sit there and look at the empty spot. I'm cold. I'm thinking maybe 13 is when Santa Claus stops coming. Or maybe I did something bad. I passed all my classes. I take out the garbage. I babysit baby Terrell. I ain't fussed with Tanya hardly at all the whole time we've been in this apartment. Maybe it's bad to not be happy. He's thinking maybe he's being punished because he hasn't been happy and cheerful. I put my head in my hands and I'm thinking I look just like Daddy, sitting by myself in the dark with my head in my hands. That living room seems like it gets bigger and emptier the longer I sit there. And then the light flips on. I turn around and there's Daddy standing in the door. He ain't got on nothing but his undershorts and his t-shirt. He's rubbing his beard and yawning. I thought I heard you, he says. I don't say nothing. You're supposed to wait until morning. We all come in together. Did you forget that? I ain't never waited. Daddy stops rubbing his face and looks at me. Never? I shake my head. You like to get the jump, he says, like a jump start. I nod. He looks at the empty place on the floor. Didn't turn out so good this time, huh? I turn away. I look at the floor. Come on, he says soft. Santa couldn't leave yours out here with the rest. Yours is in our room. What do you think little T got? What's in the bedroom? I turn around and look at him. He's smiling. Come on, he says again. He flips off the light and heads down the hall. I get up off the floor and I follow him in the dark. We go in his room. I smell baby Terrell's powder. Mama lifts up off her pillow. He's wandering around in the dark, Daddy whispers. He thinks Santa forgot all about him. Daddy squats down beside the bed. He drags something out from underneath. I can't see it in the dark. Hold out your arms, Daddy says, and I do. And then he puts it in my arms. It's warm. It's wiggly. It's all furry. It lifts up its nose and it licks my face. It starts making little noises, and Daddy says, take it on out of here before it wakes up baby Terrell. Merry Christmas, son, Mama says. And I could hear in her voice, she's smiling. Okay, so what did little T get for Christmas? Yeah, we got a dog. Is it a new dog? Or is it Buddy? Well, you're going to have to join me for the next chapter to find out the answer to that. Let's look at the notes. Okay, so it starts off with little T's family buried Grandpa T in Mississippi, and it also happens to be little T's 13th birthday. And little T won't allow Mama to donate Grandpa T's clothes to the poor. It's just too soon for little T. Little T draws Buddy in class. The family decorates their apartment as best as they can for Christmas. Well, little T gets a puppy for Christmas, a puppy. Here's the external conflict. That's between two characters. Now, Mama and little T definitely have a problem. They have a conflict. Mama wants to donate Grandpa T's clothes to the homeless. Little T refuses to give his clothes away. That is a problem. It gets resolved. There's a solution. Mama puts the clothes away and buys extra cans of food to give away to the poor. Your stop and jot. Here you go. Do you think Daddy and Mama understand what little T is going through? Do you think they really understand what little T is going through? Explain your answer using details from the text, from the book. Okay, that's it for now. I will see you for chapter 26. Bye.